Hello Taurus, thanks for joining me for your in-depth monthly forecast for October. This is for the Sun or the Ascendant. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. This month begins with a rather practical dimension. The Sun and your ruler Venus are in your 6th solar house. The 6th house is all about how we order our lives. It's where we make sacrifices. It's about where we look after ourselves in terms of health and fitness. It's also about diet. And it's also about where we're of service to others. But as this month begins, there is a key event which occurs on the 3rd. Pluto, the planet of transformation, which has been in your sector of expansion and adventure since 2008, ends a retrograde. But on the same day, Mercury, the planet of communication, moves out of Libra, an area which is quite brittle, and moves into your sector of communication. If there has been a situation which has been proven a little bit testing, the great news about this transit is that Mercury in your 7th house is going to sharpen up your listening skills, but also it can help you to just be a bit more detached about your interactions with others. The fascinating thing, however, Taurus, is that from the 5th through to the 11th, Mercury is going to be in opposition with Uranus in your sign. Don't be surprised, therefore, if you have some sparks of attraction to somebody that you encounter. Now, it's possible, if you're already in a partnership, that you and yours could have some genuinely stimulating conversations, especially if you are trying to bring a more original and creative approach to any part of your existence. But it's also true to say that from the 5th through to the 11th, the Sun does go into a clash with Saturn. Saturn, like Pluto, does continue in the sign of Capricorn, which for you, of course, is your sister Earth sign. And Saturn's going to be here through till next March, then moves into Aquarius before going back into Capricorn for a period of time. But I do feel that this particular right angle is going to require a little bit of care, because it's possible the Sun is going to ask you to be ever more vigilant about how you can make changes to improve the working order of any part of your existence. But there could be another part of you that tries to either cram too much in or feels a bit resentful about the responsibilities and obligations that are being placed on your shoulders. So that's from the 5th to the 11th. I think this can create a sense of restriction. So if you do find yourself with too much on your plate, the key here is to try to delegate. Now, particularly at home, if you're someone who's very conscientious, make sure that other people are doing their bit, pulling their weight. If it all falls to you, that's going to breed a sense of resentment and frustration. However, it is true to say that on the 5th, Mars is going to move into the sign of Libra too. But you know, this can actually be a really good transit on the whole, because it can give you more physicality, more durability, an ability to keep going, working hard. It can give you much more endurance. But of course, Mars is about our need to get recognition. And in the 6th solar house, it's about where we help other people. So you may have to toggle that dynamic somewhat in your approach and also your time management. It is true to say that Mars is going to be clashing with Saturn himself in the last 10 days of this month. So there's the potential for a repeated dimension when it comes to that 6th, 9th house clash. In fact, indeed, from the 11th through to the 17th, the Sun's going to be in a right angle to Pluto. If there is somebody in your world who tends to be very nitpicky and punctilious and always criticising you for little things that you get wrong, that could really start to become quite a problem for you. But that problem can be turned into an opportunity if you assert your rights and also just push back on any unfairness that you may be on the end of. Basically, Saturn and Pluto have been asking you to be as open-minded as possible. But of course, Saturn is the planet of restriction. So any kind of changes that you're trying to achieve need to be ones that have some kind of workable or tangible benefit to you. That's being an earth sign, and that's totally understandable. But at times, because your natural penchant is to stick with what you know, it gives you a sense of comfort and security. The change agenda that Pluto particularly has been pushing your way may have actually been something that you've resisted. And I think that may be true from the 11th through to the 17th too. But on the 9th, well, Venus, your ruler, moves into your opposite sign. And this is one of the best transits of Venus for you that you're going to go through in a whole year. It lasts for 28 days. It's going through the sensationally sensual Scorpio. But for you, it just gives you the opportunity to find the diplomacy, the harmonizing energy to try to meet people in the middle if there have been any tensions. Or if you're single and you'd like to meet someone new, Mercury, giving you the brain power to communicate well in the sign of Scorpio, followed by Venus, is going to be a real sense of you wanting to engage more with others. Now this is going to pick up energy even more once the Sun moves into Scorpio on the 24th. But before then, we do have the full moon. This full moon occurs in Aries, so it's just before your zodiac sign, therefore it's your 12th solar house, and it is going to be squaring with Pluto itself. I think something could come up into the open, especially about where you're very self-sacrificing and where you give of yourself a lot. If there is a situation where you just really selflessly keep pouring energy in and it's not really gaining much recognition, appreciation, or even acknowledgement, I do feel that this could become something of a burning issue. And on the back of the full moon and the Sun's right angle to Pluto, I think you may find yourself being a lot more militant and bringing to the surface something which has been simmering that you may have not said anything about, perhaps because you've wanted to keep the peace. But if you do become more assertive, I certainly feel that the Sun moving on the 24th will help you to do this, because not only is this area, the 7th house, about relationships, it's also about you firming up your boundaries. It's about finding the right balance between what you give and what you get. Equally, Jupiter, the planet of growth, which of course is now going forwards, went forwards from on the 12th of August, that's forging a brilliant angle to Pluto all through this month. So even though it's a semi-sextile, I think for you, if you're being very enterprising about a financial or business situation, the more open-minded you can be about new ideas and new ways of approaching things, or even new people on the back of this energy moving into your opposite sign, the better you can do. It is true that Saturn is going to be in opposition with the point of destiny, the North Node, in the first 9 days of this month. So if you do find it a bit trickier to find your voice, it wouldn't be a surprise. But finally, because that opposition has run since the start of April, it comes to a close on day 10. And I feel that all sorts of things that maybe have just very subtly been blocked around your mode of expression, anything to do with transport, anything to do with you just feeling that you have a right to express your ideas, value system or beliefs, that's just going to get easier. You won't seem to attract people who challenge or doubt or in some way don't accept your desire to have your voice heard. Now there is a fabulous new moon on the 28th, but it is going to be engaging with Uranus again. Uranus in your sign is certainly an exciting new event which began for the next 7 years anyway on the 7th of March this year. Of course, there was that sojourn from mid-May to mid-October last year too, but that did include that really rough right angle to Mars. But now Uranus is really asking you to embrace your uniqueness, to be authentic, to free up some space and freedom for yourself where possible. And that's something you should consider as this month goes on. It is true that Mercury does go into a retrograde on the very last day of this month. So even if you are building up some exciting possibilities when it comes to relationships, with unusual or unexpected connections occurring, I do feel there could still be a few cross wires that do seem to coincide with the end of this month. But generally, this is a fabulously positive month for you. But it is about you finding the balance between your right to have your freedoms and independence, and with where you're very self-sacrificing, committed, and meet all your obligations. If you're too much of a giver, it's time to reinforce your boundaries. If you're wanting a little bit too much freedom, it's time to remember your obligations. If you'd like to know more about personal astrology based on your time, date and place of birth, please click on the link beneath this video and visit my chart store. You can buy a year's forecast and a character analysis for 30% off, or choose to have a one-to-one personal consultation with me. But for now, good luck, Taurus, and goodbye.